Hello, my name is JT, and I am doing a deck profile on my Floowandereeze deck that I got first place in a regional flight at the Remote Duel Extravaganza, earning me my invite to the 2024 NAWCQs. So we're going to go over the main deck, the side deck, and the extra deck, even though the extra deck really isn't relevant except for Prosperity Food. So kicking things off, we'll go over the main deck. I play your standard 3 Floowandereeze Rabina, the main normal summon of the deck. She gets to a level 4 or lower Queen Beast. The most optimal play is to normal summon her, search out Eagle, and then summon Eagle to grab a level 7 or higher Wing Beast, and then summon that off of the chain effects. Next up is going to be 3 copies of Floowandereeze and Eaglin, which is the aforementioned Eagle. Usually you'll normal summon this off of the resolution of Rabina. You'll search like an Empin, a Mega Reza, or an Apex Avion, depending on the situation. Him alone doesn't really do you any good, so if you open him and no other Floowandereeze, or more specifically no Rabina, you're kind of not going to be able to combo off. So the most optimal play you can do when you have just Eagle is if you have Map. Or I guess you can like summon Eagle, activate effect, chain Advent of Adventure to banish, and then summon Rabina, and then get another search off of Rabina to combo off, but you don't really want to have to be stuck in a situation like that. That would not be optimal. I'll play 1 copy each of Token and Stree. These are not something you want to play too many copies of, because on their own they do absolutely nothing turn 1. Like, Stree requires a card that's already in the graveyard, and Token requires a Floowandereeze that's banished, so them alone, turn 1, doesn't do anything, so that's why I only play 1 of each. If you need them, you search them off of Rabina or Advent of Adventure. Now, for the big birds, we play 2 Empin. Basically what this does is it has 3 different effects. When it's tribute summoned, you can add a Floowandereeze spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You'll usually search out the Dreaming Town with it, or if you already have that in hand, you'll search out a map, an Advent, or possibly Unexplored Winds, depending on what you need. And it also has a battle phase effect where it's battling an opponent's monster. You can banish 1 card from your hand to cut the opponent's monster's attack in half. Unfortunately, for towers type monsters like the arrival of the Adignister, this is not going to really do you any good because you can't use your effect on it. It won't affect it, period. Apex Avion for Omni Negate. You'll typically summon this during the opponent's turn off of Map or Dreaming Town. Raise of the Mega Monarch. Usually we'll summon this for a disruption on your opponent's turn, possibly to recycle Dreaming Town or Harpy's Feather Storm. Usually Harpy's Feather Storm, because you can just recycle Dreaming Town for Toucan if absolutely necessary. That's all for the Winged Beast monsters. We are playing 6 hand traps in this build. Triple copies of Ash Blossom Joyous Spring. I find Ash to be a pretty underwhelming card on its own. It hits everything it hits something in every deck, but on its own it just does absolutely nothing. However, I mainly play it to hit Branded Fusion and Labyrinth cards. Those 2 are the main decks it has the most impact against. Everything else is needs to be accompanied with a different hand trap, so yeah, it's mostly there just for the Labyrinth and the Branded matchup. Then we play triple copies of Dimension Shifter because Floowandereeze is probably one of the 2 decks that can play around Shifter the best. This also stops the opponent from Droll and Lockbird, so basically you use this at the beginning of your turn. Opponent can't Droll you, can't Veiler you, can't Ogre your map. Imperm does work, unfortunately, because Imperm is a trap card that just needs to hit the field. But Veiler... Oh no, I don't play Imperm. Don't have the room for it. I like to play board breakers in addition to these hand traps. My bad for misunderstanding. Next up, we got the spells. We're going to play triple Pot of Prosperity and triple Duality. I do not play Extravagance. I much prefer Prosperity. While Extravagance is a +1, the reason why Prosperity, in my opinion, is superior is because it actually digs further into your deck, 6 cards in your deck, as we don't really care about the extra deck. And plus, if you excavate Pot of Prosperity off of Duality, you can use it immediately after if your hand is not ideal. But if you activate Extravagance off a Duality, you can't use it because Extravagance needs to be used at the beginning of the main phase 1. So, Duality is Duality. We don't special summon, we don't care. Or at least we shouldn't special summon, but there will be some awkward situations where we need to. But generally, we will use Pot of Duality and Pot of Prosperity to dig into our deck for our combo pieces. Next up, we are going to play 3 Magnificent Maps and 3 Advent of Adventure and 1 Explored Winds for our Floowandereeze spells. Map enables your combos, gives you an extra normal summon. You basically reveal a Floowandereeze monster level 4 lore or level 1, since all of them are pretty much level 1 for the mini ones. And then you banish a Floowandereeze card, and then you can normal summon off of Map's effect. Advent of Adventure will help you dodge like Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, Widow Anchor, stuff like that. You can banish a Floowandereeze monster from your hand or face-up field as cost, and then you can add a Floowandereeze map or a Floowandereeze monster from your deck to your hand and gain 500 life points. It's pretty cheeky in time as well. Unexplored Winds is our main draw card, but I only play 1 copy because you don't want a brick on it. You can reveal up to 2 Winged Beast monsters in your hand, put them at the bottom of the deck in any order, and draw the same amount of cards. It also has a non-activated effect where you can send 1 card your opponent controls and 1 Floowandereeze monster you control away to tribute summon, or to normal summon a level 7 or higher monster that requires 2 tributes, and it will be counted as a tribute summon. So I can like send, for example, Mask of Restrict to the graveyard, plus one of my Floowandereeze to summon Empen because it doesn't count as tributing. I only play 1 because it's pretty cloggy at anything higher, and usually want to see other spells instead. I played 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More in the main deck as one of my board breakers. This is mostly for Sprite and big negation boards. You will see that yeah, 2. Unfortunately, could only fit 2, and honestly, I will typically opt to go first with this deck because I believe that Floowandereeze should be in a going first deck first and foremost, but we do play board breakers in case we're forced into going second, just so we're not sitting on our hands and getting and auto losing. I do cite a 3rd copy, spoiler alert, but yeah, 2 copies for now. It actually has come up. Next up, we play the Lone Harpy's Feather Duster so we don't auto lose the back row decks, because, yeah. I know it's not too optimal, but we do have the flex space for it, so I figured why not. And last but not least for spells, we have Terraforming to search out your Floowandereeze and Dreaming Advent map thing. Sorry, I'm getting my words jumbled. Just searches out the map, basically. And we play 5 traps next up. We play our main win con going first because we no longer have win statue. That'll be the incredibly broken Harpy's Feather Storm. This is my win con going first versus Branded and Sprite and other decks that are not Labyrinth. Sometimes it can help against Labyrinth, but they can just chain like their Torby and their Cuckoo Clock and just still play. Other board breaker would be double evenly matched. Same reason as Feather Duster, just mainly to clear back row, or if you're facing against Sprite, yeah, open both Dark Roller and evenly match. You can Dark Roller them and evenly match their board, leaving them with 1 card. I love it. And Dreaming Town. The book effect is really nice. Being able to normal summon on your opponent's turn is also nice. What's not so nice is that if you have Shifter active, you can't really use the book effect, so you do have to be cautious with that. Hopefully that if you use Shifter, it's against a deck that can't really play under it, so that not being able to book won't matter too much. Next up, we got the side deck here. The first card is actually inspired by Hanko Chow. I read his WCQ article. It is Simorgh, Lord of the Storms. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to have a situation where I would have cited it in, but generally the idea is that if it's tribute summoned, your opponent cannot target it with spell or trap cards or effects. It has an additional effect where if your opponent activates a spell card, you can tribute a wind monster on your side of the field to basically spin a card on the field to the deck. I believe the spin effect is, yes. Next up, we got another tribute summonable winged beast that we side in. It's Darksimborg, mostly for back row decks like Trap Tricks, Labyrinth, and such. Didn't face either in my regional flight, so didn't really get to use it. In fact, most of the side deck cards never really came up, except for like two. Next up, we got triple Duel and Lockbird. This is primarily for stuff that will get like a Towers monster out on the field, such as Adagnister, Mathmax, stuff like that. Also good against Minadium. I don't play. Yeah, it just stops Minadium. They love to search a lot. I don't really side many hand traps because I don't really like to play into talents in this deck. I think that given how fragile the hands of Floowandereeze are and how bricky it can be, having the opponent rip a card from your hand is really not the best idea, but Droll isn't an essential card, and Ash, well, yeah, you'll typically use it during the main phase, and Shifter, I'll actually use it during the draw or standby phase of my opponent's turn, so it doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, I opt not to play too many hand traps on this side, the main combine. The aforementioned third copy of Dark Ruler, this is a flex spot. There wasn't any real one-ofs that I wanted to side in. So I could have sided in Avinity's Fiend instead, but ultimately this will be going when I know I'm going second versus the opponent. So I'll just side this in. Back row hate, double lightning storm, double cosmic, in addition to the feather duster and the evenly matches in the main deck. Snipes floodgates, destroys a whole row of back row. Possibly attack position monsters too if I ever come across a situation, but usually I'll only side these against back row decks. A decision that many will find very questionable, given that Book of Moon is a really good card, but I side it instead of main decking it. I think Dark Ruler No More is better at breaking boards, so that's why I keep it in the main deck. This I can at least side it going in versus the opponent. So I also side 3 Book of Moon in the side deck. Most people would prefer to main deck it. I view Dark Ruler No More as a better board breaker than Book of Moon, but Book of Moon can be sided in going first or second against the likes of Sprite and other decks that like to Synchro XYZ or Link Summon. I also side this against Dragon Link in my round 2 matchup and disrupted his plays, which ultimately won me the game. Next up, we play Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. This is the best floodgate that this deck can play because our level 6 or higher monsters don't get special summon, they get normal summon. And basically, if Branded tries to play against this, they can't really do anything unless they can get rid of it. Like, they can't even attempt to use their effects, they can't do anything. So they need to, like, draw a back row removal or beat you down with level 4 or lower monsters. Because their monsters are basically level 6 or higher. I can also side this against Kashira going first, but they can play around it with XYZ plays. So, and possibly normal summoning like Fenrir off of birth. So so this is mostly used against decks like Branded, not so much Kashira. Next up is the extra deck for situations that should not occur but can. One access code talker in case I can link up. One Celine, so I can summon like a dimensional shifter from my graveyard and then go into access code. Nightmare, Unicorn, and Phoenix. Phoenix can help like pop Zombie World if I can get like 2 monsters on board. I can link summon to Phoenix, pop the Zombie World. When the Wind Channeler, I play this Charmer specifically because half of my normal summonable monsters are winds. I can also like snipe a Barone from the opponent's graveyard if the situation calls for it. Don't I think you can special summon it from. Yeah, yeah. So I can get the Barone. The Water Charmer doesn't really do anything. Yeah, you can throw out one wind monster in the opponent's graveyard and special summon it. Water Charmer doesn't really do anything for me because there'll be like no waters that really care to special summon from the opponent's graveyard. IP Masquerena because why not? I mean, who cares about the extra deck really? I suppose I could leave it on board and then their main phase and they summon something and just go on Nightmare Unicorn, I suppose. Link Rebo, who cares? Extra deck's not really that important. It's just for situations that should not occur but can. Most of the situation, the only XYZ the only extra deck monster I can really see myself summoning is the Zeus package. Either Lyrilisk if I'm like not able to combo off, I'm just summoning like birds that don't really do anything on their own. Or if my opponent has TC on the field, which is a really annoying card, and I side in Droll and Lockbirds, I can summon like a bird and then a Droll and Lockbird, go into Drytron Beta Fafnir, swing into something, then overlay for Downward Magician, and then overlay that for Zeus, and basically have 2 pops. In testing, I find this comes up more often than the Link summoning. Next up, we got Herald of the Arclight. This is in case I have like a bird plus an ash that won't really do anything, so you can just synchro summon into a Omni Negate that also acts as a Macrocosmos. Along, in case the opponent wants to use something like Maximus to make us dump from our extra deck without knowing what I'm playing. Same thing for Entis and Garura. I can draw a card, I can pop a card. And that is pretty much the deck. So my matchups were a bye, and then I faced Dragon Link 1-2-1 against it. Then I faced Melfi Sprite, beat that 2-0, and I faced Earth Machines and won against that 2-1 to earn my invite to next year's NAWCQ. Yeah, shout out to you for allowing me to deck profile my deck on your channel. And that's about all I got. I got a shout out to Soapy too for talking Yu-Gi-Oh! and helping me figure out some cards in the deck.